Hi, I am Matt Anderson. I will be discussing a court case involving due process. That case was Goss versus Lopez, that was heard by the United States Supreme Court in October of 1974, which is the same month and year I was born. And it was ruled upon that following January in 1975. Some background on this case: it involved 9 students from 2 different high schools and 1 junior high school in Columbus, Ohio. These students were given 10-day suspensions from school for misconduct. The school principals did not hold hearings for the students before giving them their suspensions. And at the time, Ohio law did not require them to do so. The principal's actions were then challenged by way of a class action lawsuit that was brought against the school officials, that was seeking a declaration that the Ohio statute permitting these suspensions was unconstitutional. A federal district court found that the students' rights had been violated, as they were denied due process of law, violation of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The case was then appealed to the Supreme Court. The parties involved were Goss, the appellant, which were the school officials of Ohio, and then Lopez, the appellee, which were the high school students there in Ohio. The question that the Supreme Court had to answer was as follows: did the imposition of the suspensions without preliminary hearings violate the students' due process rights granted by the 14th Amendment? The court did agree with the appellee, Lopez, in a 5-4 decision. The court held that because Ohio had chosen to extend the right to an education to its citizens, it could not withdraw that right on grounds of misconduct, absent fundamentally fair procedures to determine whether the misconduct had occurred. The court held that Ohio was constrained to recognize students' entitlements to education as property interests protected by the Due Process Clause that could not be taken away without minimum be given notice and afforded some kind of hearing. The impact of this decision on education was that public schools must conduct a hearing before subjecting students to a suspension. Also, a suspension without a hearing violates due process clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I personally do agree with the court's decision. The students are afforded the protections given them under the 14th Amendment, and the school clearly violated these protections. As far as impacting my teaching practice in the future, I will be cognizant of my students' rights to due process in any and all situations that may arise, be it in my classroom or within the school I am teaching. This decision will be a reminder to me that students have the same rights as teachers, and there is no reason or excuse to violate these rights given under the U.S. Constitution. Thank you for listening to my discussion of Goss versus Lopez and due process under the U.S. Constitution. My references were from oyez.org and caselaw.findlaw.com. Everything else was my own personal views and opinions.